Then another family crisis rolled in like a tumbleweed. Mel walked into the dinner looking unusually cheerful, which was always a bad sign. "Guess what? My mother is coming to town. Carrie Sharples." The woman who had birthed Mel. It explained a lot, though Carrie was surprisingly spry compared to her son's lumbering demeanor. But this visit was different. Carrie wasn't just visiting, she was escaping. "I got a divorce," Carrie announced, dropping her suitcase. "What?" Mel dropped a plate. "But I thought you and Robbie were so happy." "Robbie's gambling really started bugging me," Carrie said, taking a seat. "He even gambled away the money I made in my cookbook. So I gave him an ultimatum. Give up gambling or give up me." "And?" Alice asked. "I'm here, aren't I?" Carrie smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. "I feel great, liberated. On top." But she wasn't on top. She was lonely, manic, and driving everyone insane. She talked for 24 hours straight. She zipped herself into a sleeping bag to avoid talking to Mel. She needed a distraction. Enter Earl. Earl was a regular, a basketball coach for a local team, the Coyotes. He was nice, unsuspecting, and entirely unprepared for Carrie Sharples. "Maybe she'd like to go to the game I'm coaching this afternoon," Earl suggested innocently, trying to help Alice get Carrie out of the diner. It was a fatal error. Carrie didn't just watch the game. She became the mascot. She leaped onto the court. She led cheers. "Come on, Coyotes, you're the tops. Choke those Gophers and lick your chops," she screamed, shaking pom-poms she had seemingly materialized out of thin air. The Coyotes won. And suddenly, Carrie was their good luck charm. But for Carrie, it was more than basketball. She looked at Earl, sweet, patient Earl, and saw a replacement for Robbie. "I think she's got the hots for me," Earl whispered to Alice in the kitchen. "My mother doesn't get the hots," Mel argued, horrified. "Frankly, I think she's in love with me," Earl insisted. Alice had to intervene. Again. She was the diplomat of the diner, the Henry Kissinger of hash browns. She found Carrie in the locker room, dressed in a coyote costume that looked suspiciously like a furry pajama set. "Carrie, I have to tell you something," Alice started. "You don't like my outfit?" Carrie asked, adjusting her ears. "Carrie, love is a two-way street," Alice said gently. "And Earl, well, he feels like he's on a one-way street." Carrie stopped bouncing. The manic energy evaporated, leaving a tired, older woman in a ridiculous costume. "He doesn't go for me. He likes you very much as a friend," Alice said. Carrie sighed, pulling off the coyote head. "I guess inside a coyote costume, it's hotter than hell," she muttered. "I was just on the rebound from Robbie." Alice put an arm around her. "Come on, let's get some coffee." They walked back to the diner, the neon sign buzzing in the twilight. Another crisis averted. Another heart patched up with coffee and pie. Chapter 6. The Worms of Wealth. The winter faded into a dusty spring. The diner remained the center of the universe. And then, the Rolls-Royce pulled up. It was a gleaming silver beast, parked right across the street, reflecting the sun into the diner's grease-stained windows. "I haven't seen one of them in a long time," Mel whistled. "I should be behind the wheel of that baby." A man stepped out. He was charming, dressed in a suit that cost more than the diner's annual revenue. He had a smile that could sell ice to an Eskimo. "Howdy, I'm Jonas Honeycutt, and I'm here to see my baby sister, Jolene," he announced. Jolene froze. Her face went pale. This wasn't a happy reunion. "Jonas," she whispered. "Jolene, don't you recognize your brother?" Jonas beamed. The tension was immediate. Jolene refused to talk to him. She dragged him into the storeroom. "What are you doing out of jail?" she hissed. "I've been out over a year. I am now a bona fide, honest-to-goodness investment broker," Jonas claimed. "You've been nothing but a double-crossing, two-timing, lying, cheating con man," Jolene countered. "Remember the savings and loan? The stolen car? I reformed," Jonas pleaded. "But a leopard doesn't change its spots. And a con man doesn't stop conning. Especially when there's a mark as big and juicy as Mel Sharples. While Jolene was distracted, Jonas cornered Mel. It's kind of hush-hush, but it's gonna make certain investors rich overnight, Jonas whispered. Rich overnight? Mel's eyes turned into cartoon dollar signs. Worms, Jonas whispered. Worms? Earthworm ranches, Jonas explained with a straight face. You need worms to catch fish. Who do you think catches the worms? Worm, cowboys. It was the stupidest thing Alice had ever heard. But Mel? I've got $5,000, Mel said. That's exactly what they cost. Jonas smiled. Mel handed over his mortgage money. He bought a ranch located between plots, supposedly owned by Johnny Carson and Bob Hope. When Jolene found out, she was furious. Not at Mel, well, a little at Mel for being an idiot, but at her brother. She marched into the diner, Alice and Vera flanking her like a heavily armed posse. Jonas, give him the check back, Jolene demanded. I can't, Jonas started. Give it back. Jonas looked at his sister. He looked at the check. He looked at Mel, who was currently reading a book titled A Man and His Worm. Slowly, Jonas handed the check over. You wouldn't believe me when I told you I'd reformed, so I had to prove it to you. Jonas lied, trying to save face. By taking the money and giving it back, I guess you really have changed, Jolene said, offering him a grace he didn't deserve but desperately needed. As Jonas drove away in his rented Rolls-Royce, Mel looked at his contract. I still think it was a good investment, Mel grumbled. Lonnie Anderson and me, neighbors. Alice took the contract from his hand and tore it up. Mel, go make the chili. Yeah, Mel, see Hill. He walked into the kitchen. Alice stood at the counter, looking out at the parking lot. The sun was setting, painting the Arizona sky in purples and oranges. It was a beautiful, hard, crazy life. Order up, Mel shouted from the back. Alice smiled. She adjusted her apron, grabbed the coffee pot, and turned to the customers. Coming right up, she said. Alice, The Phoenix Chronicles. Book I, The Desert Broadway. Chapter 1, The Ghost Light. The spotlight was a harsh, solitary eye in the darkness of the Little Palace Theater, cutting through the swirling dust motes that danced like microscopic stars. In that circle of illumination stood Alice Hyatt, her hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the sheer, overwhelming rush of a dream deferred. She closed her eyes, letting the silence of the empty theater wash over her before she began to sing. Her voice, a little rusty from years of shouting orders for chili and eggs, found its footing quickly, resonant and clear. I used to be sad, I used to be shy. Funniest thing, the saddest part is I never knew why, she crooned. The lyrics, feeling less like a script and more like a diary entry. She moved across the stage, the wooden boards creaking beneath her feet, a sound she missed more than she cared to admit. Tricking myself for nothing was my favorite sport. I had to take off, start enjoying, 'cause life's too short. From the wings, the chorus emerged, a ragtag group of locals who, under the right lighting, looked almost like professionals. Things are great when you stand on your own 2 feet. They harmonized. It was going to happen. Finally, after the heartache of widowhood, the breakdown of the car in Phoenix, and the endless purgatory of Mel's diner, Alice was going to be in a show, a real show, directed by none other than Joel Grey. It felt like a miracle. I'm doing a musical review down at the Little Palace Theater, Alice had told everyone who would listen. But in the world of Alice Hyatt, miracles were usually just disasters in fancy dress. The disaster arrived wearing a grease-stained apron and a white paper hat, though for this occasion he had swapped them for a plaid sport coat that strained against his midsection. Mel Sharples, owner of the diner and current bane of Alice's existence, waddled onto the stage just as the rehearsal wrapped. Hey Mickey, what's up? I've got news, Mel announced, his voice booming with unearned confidence. The cast gathered around, sweat cooling on their skin. The rumor mill had been churning all morning. The original producer had vanished, taking the budget with him. We've got a producer, Mel declared, grinning like